in which today's 17 cities worldwide are participating. An event in which we all collectively take a stand against animal exploitation, and in which we come together in a call for all to join in a political boycott and expression of support for the abolition of all forms of cruelty against our fellow beings, and to demand the closing of all slaughterhouses. I mentioned that this is an historic event, so I wanted to speak to you for a moment on what I meant. We often look at pivotal events and eras in history, especially those which have ushered in periods of great social change, as if they're somehow disconnected from us, acted out and upon by individuals and groups that with the perspective of hindsight seemingly appear larger than life. Women and men that were seemingly able to move mountains or to leap tall buildings with single bounds, that were apparently guided and protected by great forces that allowed them to endure the slings and arrows of a status quo not yet ready for them or their ideas. But the truth is, at their core, they were no different from each of you here today. And it is in fact individuals like you here today, individuals with your desire, your willingness to boldly speak out, to allow your thoughts and conscience to translate into action, that make days like this historic. Individuals like you that make this struggle historic. Individuals like you that are the instruments of a social change that will shake and shape our world for generations to come. A world transformed into a more peaceful, just place where the worth of beings will not be judged by our collective capacity to exploit them, but where they will instead be respected for their inherent right to exist, and where every individual, regardless of species, will be allowed to live free from the threat of suffering at the hands of humans. I could paraphrase today from a well-known historical document and say that these ideas which we've come together to promote, these truths as it were, are self-evident. But I'm forced to confront the fact that truth, as with many things in life unfortunately, often lies in the eye of the beholder. And that truth is most certainly always bent and twisted by the will of the exploiter. But that is why we are here today. To say, nay, to shout to the exploiters, no, you will not continue unmolested. To tell them that the voices of all the tortured, murdered beings that they muffle behind their slaughterhouse walls will no longer be silenced. And that the pleading eyes that look out from the trucks and trains that carry these innocent beings to the death camps day after day, hour after hour, in a seemingly never-ending holocaustal procession will no longer be ignored. For with each step that we collectively take today, we pledge to be the voice of the voiceless. We promise to be the champions of the oppressed. And we vow to be the conscience of all humankind.
We sense the fear of our fellow earthlings. Why don't others sense it? We see the continuous enslavement, imprisonment, transport, and extermination of our fellow earthlings. Why don't others see it? Those of us conscious to the plight of animals know the terror, the injustice, the unspeakable pain and suffering of these animals. For us, it seems that those who deny or refuse to acknowledge this Holocaust of our fellow beings are unconscious.
The idea to close down all slaughterhouses was born in Paris and Toulouse last year. Paris was the home of the French Revolution in 1789. Today, the greatest revolution is the animal equality and justice revolution. This year's march spread to 12 cities, and multicultural Toronto played a huge role in generating support from cities across the globe including Turkey, Brazil, United States, Australia, France, England, Italy, and Croatia. Next year promises to be bigger.
Stop the slaughter! Meat is murder! 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 Stop the slaughter!
We stand in front of Quality Meat Packers, Pig Slaughterhouse. 6,000 gentle, sensitive, and kind pigs that are babies, 4 to 6 months old, are killed each weekday. As of 4 weeks ago, they stopped killing on Fridays because market demand has gone down. So now they kill 4 days of the week. Truck carries about 220 pigs. So there are about 30 transport trucks that come here every weekday. The pigs are loaded with rattle paddles and electric prods into an asylum. It is an asylum because the sound, when they enter the slaughterhouse, they hear screaming pigs as they are being prodded with electric prods that are hardwired that are up to 50 volts. So the pigs who are in the pen have to watch and listen as their brothers and sisters are violently gathered and prodded towards the gas chamber. They use a carbon dioxide gas chamber to quote-unquote stun the pigs here. The carbon dioxide is in the basement. There's an elevator-like mechanism that takes them to the basement where they suffocate with carbon dioxide poisoning.
And that is exactly what this is, a Holocaust. I have been warned by some not to compare the torment of animals with the plight of people who were victims of the death camps of World War II. However, there are so many similarities. The victims of Nazism were denied their freedom to live natural lives. So are these animals. The victims of Nazism were imprisoned in horrific conditions. So are these animals. Those human victims were separated from family and loved ones. So are these animals. Those human victims were subjected to cruel and unusual punishment, torture, and existed in continuous distress and agony. This is the experience of these animals. How can we not make the comparison of victim to victim? How can we not parallel the horrific pain and emotional nightmare of all these innocent victims of human ignorance? Like the prisoners of war and insanity of cruel oppression, non-human animals are also prisoners. They are unable to escape their tormentors, unable to find comfort in their surroundings, unable to live out their lives as nature intended, in peace through interpersonal relationships with their fellow earthlings, and unable to experience the comfort and love of their families and fellow community members.
Stop killing animals! Freedom for fish! Stop killing animals! Freedom for pigs! Stop killing animals! Freedom for pigs! Stop killing animals! Freedom for chickens! Stop killing animals! Freedom for chickens! Stop killing animals! Freedom for cows! Stop killing animals! Freedom for cows! Stop killing animals! Freedom for all! Stop killing animals! Freedom for all!
There are 2 cow and 1 chicken slaughterhouse blocks away from St. Clair and Kiel. There's another kosher slaughterhouse on the east end of Lakeshore. And this is the 5th slaughterhouse, the 2nd biggest pig slaughterhouse in Ontario. There are 100 pig slaughterhouses in Ontario.
These animals, whether of land, of sky, or of water, have been denied the most fundamental rights of nature and of the universe. And for what? To satisfy the ignorance and apathy of humans who remain so blind to the pain and suffering they are causing these innocent animals.
Animal liberation, empathy, compassion, empathy, compassion, empathy, compassion.
Those who claim to love animals, to love nature, to love planet Earth, to love God, to love the universe, but continue to eat animals, are living examples of unawareness and hypocrisy.
I say freedom, you say now. Freedom, now. Freedom, now. I say liberation, you say now. Liberation, liberation. I say animal rights, you say now. Animal rights.
As an educator, I regularly introduce the concepts of veganism and compassion towards animals in my classroom. With great enthusiasm and desperate motivation to save animals' lives, I passionately teach the truth about food, about health, about the oppression of our fellow earthlings. Although I have learned that I cannot force anyone to give up their habitual dietary choices, I also know that it is critical and essential that I continue to deliver messages of compassion on behalf of all the non-human animals around the world. And I strongly urge and encourage you to continue to deliver messages of compassion so that someday oppressed animals may know what true freedom and liberation feels like.
Milk is torture, violence, murder. Milk is torture.
Violence, murder.
Milk is torture.
Violence, murder.
Milk is torture.
Violence, murder.
Eggs are torture.
Violence, murder.
Eggs are torture.
Violence, murder.
Flesh is torture.
Violence, murder.
This is not an issue of forcing our beliefs onto others, but rather it is about educating others of the continuous, persistent, agonizing, and unrelenting pain and suffering of animals in these death camps called slaughterhouses.
Stop killing animals.
Stop eating animals.
Stop killing animals.
Stop eating animals.
We need to awaken our families, our friends, our neighbors, our loved ones to this ongoing holocaust of our fellow earthlings. How do we do this? By serving as role models for compassionate living. No, you cannot force anyone to show kindness. However, by demonstrating kindness throughout your own lives, you are literally teaching others what a kind person looks like.
I am here to ask you to join our weekly vigils. Toronto Pig Save, Toronto Cow Save, Sheep Save, Chicken Save, and Fish Save, all the other saves. Our mission is to make slaughterhouses have glass walls, for people to go vegan, and for everyone to be an activist and an organizer.
I have learned that one of the most difficult things is to teach people to eat with compassion. We need to help people make the connection of both domestic animals and those that we may refer to as our pets or our companion animals, and those animals used in the food industry. We need to bring into social consciousness the systemic hypocrisy of loving one animal while eating another one.
Say freedom, you say now. Freedom! Now! Freedom! You say freedom, you say now. Freedom!
Now!
Freedom!
Now!
I say liberation, you say now.